my name is Alicia Shapiro with AInews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest developments and newest innovations in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Nathalie Belanger, the co-founder of Ask Elina, a new AI-powered app designed to guide women through the often confusing and overlooked journey of perimenopause and menopause. Ask Elena is more than just a health app, though. It's a personalized, always available companion offering evidence-based guidance and emotional support. With over 42 commonly reported symptoms and a transition that can last 7 to 10 years, perimenopause can often feel overwhelming and isolating. But Ask Elena helps women feel seen, supported, and informed every step of the way. In today's interview, we'll explore how Ask Elena empowers women to take control of their health, how the team built the trust into the experience, and why accessible, compassionate support during midlife has never been more important. I appreciate you joining us today, Nathalie.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And you've had a remarkable career spanning over 25 years in e-commerce and loyalty and customer engagement. What inspired you to pivot towards women's health and co-found Ask Elena?
Thank you, Alicia. I'm not sure I'd call it a pivot, more of a long professional detour. Back in 2016, I had slowed down my career and I'd started investing in technology startups,
Mhm.
which led me to invest in a company where I met my co-founder, Elizabeth Wasserman.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, like many startups, this one didn't pan out, but Liz and I really hit it off and loved and respected our mutual career paths. And this led us to start talking about building our own startup. And we did some market research, which led us to identifying reliable market menopause information is really a big market gap. Both she and I were really struggling with the symptoms. So we started looking into it a little bit more. And it led us to learn that there's around 30 million women worldwide that are going through menopause annually. And unfortunately, most of us have very little information that helps us make it through unscathed.
Yeah.
Menopause is really not something that was talked about in the past. I think this latest generation of women is a lot more vocal about it. We are definitely talking about it.
Mhm.
But for many reasons, there's still lots of misinformation that is being spread around. And we really wanted to change that. So that's what is driving us.
I love that. It's such an important topic too, because like you hinted at, for prior generations, it was just, it was personal. You just didn't talk about that. But some of these symptoms can really make you wonder what is going on. I'm not
Absolutely.
myself, and you're looking for answers. So this is perfect timing. And like I said before, Ask Elena uses AI to provide personalized round the clock support for women navigating perimenopause. From a user's perspective, what kind of experience can they expect through the app? And how does Ask Elena stand apart from simply Googling symptoms or joining a Facebook support group?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. Liz and I actually ran a survey as part of our market research. And while it was a small sample, we had just over 100 responders. Many of them reported using, like you said, Google and social media as sources of health information. Some of them also shared that they were using tools like ChatGPT, for example.
Mm.
So let's walk through some of the use cases. A woman might start experiencing, like you said, symptoms, but because she's most likely not aware that the root cause is hormonal fluctuations, she
Yeah.
might search up heart palpitations, joint pain, insomnia, memory lapses.
Yeah.
And if she's lucky, Google might return something about menopause, but it's more likely to return more generic medical responses like your knees feel bad because you're getting old, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, speaking from personal experience, I can tell you that my heart palpitations led my GP to suggesting an EKG and other heart health diagnostics, but he never clued in that the heart palpitations I was having might actually be hormonally related.
Wow.
So it takes women on these like strange detours to try to figure out what's happening because you really don't feel well. So if a woman would go specifically looking for menopause information from reputable websites like the Menopause Society or the Mayo Clinic, they're perfectly good, medically accurate, but they're so heavy with information that it's really difficult for an average user to sift through all that information, especially if you're a woman who's suffering from brain fog. That makes it even worse.
Yes.
As for Facebook groups, I think they're really great for finding support and at times finding actual solutions. What we found out, unfortunately, is a lot of the information isn't always reliable for a host of reasons. I think, first off, there's a lot of influencers that are using social media platforms to convince women to either buy supplements or sign up for
Right.
lifestyle programs that will allegedly help them with symptoms. They often use research data or science sounding terms to bolster their claims.
Right.
But I can't help but wonder, what are their motivations to be selling that information? Obviously, naturally, women are sharing their experiences on Facebook groups. They can certainly help others feel a lot less alone. But I don't know if it's really the best source of knowledge when you're looking for symptom management. And I think the last thing we explored is, unfortunately, when we looked at some of the generative AI solutions that are available currently, they can be quite accurate, but unfortunately, many of them are still plagued by hallucinations.
Oh,
So I think as technologists, we're all quite hopeful that this will be resolved in a few years, but the AI that is currently available generically is still a little bit faulty, let's say.
yeah.
So the AI that is provided by Belong includes a lot of safeguards to prevent these hallucinations.
Oh,
And Elina isn't afraid to say that she doesn't know an answer to something. She's just not going to make it up. She'll just tell the user that this is not a topic that she can help with, which I think is very important.
yes. Yeah, it's better to say, I don't know, go talk to your doctor than it is, oh, it's because of this.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, perimenopause affects millions of women each year, yet it's still widely misunderstood and, like we've been talking about, under discussed. What do you believe are the biggest misconceptions, and how is Elena helping to correct them?
So I think the main misconceptions is that the main symptom is hot flashes. The
Yes.
second one would be it happens when you're old and it doesn't take a very long time to get through. And the third one is that taking hormones is dangerous. So if you'd allow me to break those down a little bit,
Yes.
I'd say that hot flashes are definitely the most common symptom that a lot of women experience, but there's over 40 other symptoms that are caused by the hormonal fluctuations that happen during perimenopause.
Mhm.
Now, menopause itself is actually just the day where you haven't had a period in 365 days.
Yeah.
That happens on average at age 52. What comes before, which is perimenopause, lasts on average 7 years, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter for some women. So if you do the math, some women might start experiencing the symptoms in their late 30s or even early 40s.
Right.
Now, about hormones, the Women's Health Initiative study that announced in 2002 that hormone replacement increased cancer and cardiovascular risks, that was actually debunked over the last 2 decades. Millions of women were taking hormone therapy at that time. And since then, many studies have disproven the accuracy of the research and demonstrated that for most healthy women, hormone therapy does not significantly increase the risk of cancer, and it
Mhm.
actually improves cardiovascular health. It can also help protect bones from osteoporosis. So there's a lot of good in hormones. Now, I'm not saying that hormones is for everyone. There's some friends of mine who've taken hormones and it really didn't make them feel well. But I think for a lot of women, it can be a very good option.
Yeah.
If I talk about how Ask Elina hopes to help correct these misconceptions and other misconceptions, I think it's by providing women with simple to understand, unbiased, medically accurate answers to their questions. The AI is available, like you said, 24/7. So it's perfect for those nights where many of us just can't fall asleep and we're up at 2 in the morning wondering about life in general.
That's right. That's true. I know I asked my mom and my mother-in-law both. I'm like, "What kind of symptoms did you have?" And they're like, "Oh, just some hot flashes, but nothing else." But I think that they didn't realize some of the other symptoms that they were having were related to their perimenopause and hormone fluctuations. And they probably did have more symptoms, but they just didn't know that they were attributed to that. And how does Elena tailor the support to each user's unique experience? Because every woman has different symptoms. It's not all of them all at once. So how does Ask Elena tailor the support to each user's experience?
Yeah, so by using Belong's AI technology platform, we actually leverage two aspects. First is the information that users provide in the short onboarding questionnaire, but also because Elina stores the past conversations that you've had with her, she can start providing more personalized answers to your questions. So she
Oh,
learns about you as you go.
okay.
And so the more the user engages with her, the better and more relevant her responses become for you. We really worked very closely with the team at Belong also to ensure that the responses were both medically accurate, but also easy to understand. And we wanted to make sure to include a strong dose of empathy in the AI so that the women don't feel so alone when they're navigating through this period of their lives.
Yeah.
So if I can maybe recap, I think Elina was designed to deliver empathetic, accurate and personalized responses. She's not just a digital tool. I think she really becomes a supportive, knowledgeable, and trustworthy health companion.
I think many women would love this app just to
I hope you're right.
just to show that they're not going crazy and that people
Yes.
believe them. And
Yes.
yeah. And I think a lot of our audience will be surprised to know that doctors receive very minimal or little to no training on perimenopause and menopause. And sometimes it's just a single semester. And the fact that women weren't even included in most clinical trials until the early 1990s is just mind-boggling. It's like, how can doctors not even receive training on something that impacts half the population? So, how does Ask Elena help bridge that knowledge gap and empower women with the guidance that they often can't even get from their own health providers?
Yeah, it is really tragic that physicians don't get more training in their medical programs. As a matter of fact, a lot of medical programs in North America don't even include any menopause specific content. And those that do, they spend maybe 5 to 10 hours teaching future doctors about menopause. So it's no wonder that a lot of physicians just don't feel prepared to speak to their patients about menopause. Like I want to blame the doctors, but I really can't. I think
Yeah,
it's not their fault that they didn't receive the training in the first place. Now there are some continuing education programs that enable doctors to learn more about menopause. There's NAM certification that can be completed by doctors. And I've been really happy to see that in the US, there's more and more legislation going around ensuring that doctors are getting education around menopause and the patients are getting more information about menopause. But from an app perspective, we really think that Elina can help in two ways. I think first, chatting with a doctor can be a little bit awkward sometimes. And I think that chatting with an AI sort of eliminates this shame that women hold that holds them back from sharing with their doctors or even their friends or their significant other, their mothers, especially topics like vaginal dryness, low libido. It's not something that you necessarily want to
yeah.
bring up at dinner conversation. So we really hope that this is going to make women realize that what's happening in their bodies and their minds is perfectly normal and that there are treatment options for them to help them through this.
Hmm.
I think the second aspect of how Elina can help is we're not intending for Lena to in any way replace doctors, but I think she can
Right.
arm women with knowledge so that when you go into your doctor's office and you're spending your 10 to 15 minutes that you generally get with them, it can help women have more informed conversations with them and ultimately get better health outcomes. So
Yeah.
that's what we're really hoping on.
I love that. And I think the fact that I guess it's Gen X women who are creating the conversations now about it. They're going through some perimenopause symptoms and they're realizing, hey, we need to get more research on this. We need to get more medical help. We need to inform our doctors. I think it's interesting to me that the Gen X women are standing up and saying something because previous generations didn't. Do you have any insight on that? Like, why are we just now talking about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. I found an article from 1992 in the Times that had this huge article and a full section about menopause. And it was so frustrating for me to read it because a lot of the problems that women were facing then are the same as they're facing now.
Yeah.
Untrained doctors, lack of information, lack of medication that's been tested. And it feels like we've been struggling with this for decades. Even the hormone therapy that was very popular in the late last century, starting in the 1980s, 1990s, up until the study, we were up to about 40% of women that were taking hormone therapy. When the Women's Health Initiative study came out, it dropped down to like just 1 or 2%. The
Wow.
poor women who were going through menopause, who'd been feeling a lot better on hormones, that was taken away from them. And
Yeah.
it's only just now started to come back with all of the new research that's happened and new drug developments. I think there's a lot of, we've been talking a lot about hormones, but there's quite a few other medications that are available now to help with hot flashes, to help with vaginal atrophy and so on, that are non-hormonal, that can help women as well. And I don't want you to think that I'm pushing medication. I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
just important for women to know that there are options out there if it's something that they want to take. There's also a lot of information around CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, that helps women with hot flashes and even with other symptoms of menopause that women can look into. But I think all we want is for women to know that there's options out there for them to feel more like themselves and for them to not feel so awful during 6, 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned medicine and pharmacology, but I've heard that there are other ways that women can help manage their symptoms, either through diet or exercise or getting more fiber or taking vitamin supplements. Can you speak a little to that?
There's definitely a lot of research that has demonstrated that more physical movement, better nutrition, and certain supplements, things like vitamin D, magnesium, those are all things that can help women as they're going through perimenopause and menopause, and also calcium supplements if
Oh,
they have a tendency to have osteoporosis. And so there's definitely off the shelf supplements that you don't have to buy for $50 from influencers. You can get them at your
right.
drugstore, very affordably tested. Like I said, vitamin D, magnesium, those sorts of things. Even omega-3 has been known to help with some brain function and so on. So there's definitely very affordable solutions as well for women who maybe don't want to take hormone therapy, don't want to take medications, but definitely a nice walk, some yoga, lifting weights. Building muscle is very important for women to
Yeah.
prevent osteoporosis, and to also, our muscle mass, both men and women, naturally decrease with age. And so it's important for us to do weightlifting in order to maintain our muscle mass, which helps with strength, obviously, but also helps with maintaining your weight. So there's 100% a lot of things that women can do that are non-pharmacological to help them with perimenopause symptoms. Even something like smoking. It has been demonstrated that women who smoke generally have more menopause symptoms and also have menopause earlier than women who don't smoke.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard
Mhm.
that. That's fascinating, but it makes sense because it's not very good for your body. Why wouldn't it affect other areas? That's interesting.
Right.
And Ask Elena is preparing for launch, and people can
Hmm.
sign up for the wait list on your website. But what's the vision for how it will reshape women's health support in midlife? Where do you see this going in the next few years?
Yeah, Elizabeth and I think the first step is we really want to democratize menopause information. First and foremost, we hope that Ask Elina is going to help millions of women get the answers they deserve.
Yeah.
But there are lots of great features on our product roadmap. I think that's going to turn Elina into a real health coach that is going to help
Nice.
women navigate the menopause journey. So we're hoping to have the product out in the next few weeks.
Oh,
But we will definitely be doing some iterations of product in the future to make it even better with time.
oh, I love it. I'm going to sign up today for it.
Wonderful.
And before we wrap up, I always love to ask, when you do step away from your work, what are some activities or hobbies you're passionate about?
I really enjoy traveling. I think walking around a new city that I've never visited, or rediscovering an old one, or new neighborhoods in an old one. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. And if I can combine that with having a great meal somewhere, whether it's from a food truck or a fancy restaurant, where I can really experience new smells and flavors, that's what makes me super happy.
Yeah, I love doing that too. It's just fun to experience new things.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Natalie, for joining us and sharing your story about Ask Alina and how AI is bringing empathy and clarity and support to women navigating the confusing perimenopause stage. It's been so wonderful to talk to you about this and how technology can fill the gaps in between care and help women feel more informed and less alone during this important life stage. So, thanks again for joining us and sharing about this.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, for having me. And I really hope you find answers on your journey as well.
Yes, thank you. I'm getting there. I'm pretty close. For those in our audience that would like to learn more about Ask Elena, you can join the wait list and visit their website at askelena.com. Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AInews.com.